Now Def definitely looking to make something happen with that. It's also important to note that Songyun wasn't able to secure the BF sword on his first back, and he has a pickaxe. So when he transitions immediately into Runon's Hurricane, he is dealing a little bit less damage than an Ashe typically would at this point in the game. Yeah.
Even so, they still do have that massive lockdown from both Ashe and Malzahar. And a nice bit of damage from Syndra and Graves if they can get over there at the same time.
See Deft extremely scared, does not want to get caught out. Not a time that you would want to be blowing summoners. Had to actually give up some CS just because of the Fog of War. And that's something that the Tigers team composition has for them going as well, in the sense that KT is extremely reliant on vision in order to do anything against this.
That's pretty huge. You can see the first blood did go over to the ROX Tigers, but still KT is ever so slightly ahead. It looks like Smeb has gotten slightly ahead. Oh, hold that thought. We do have a teleport coming into the ROX Tigers jungle, and the flash forward. Mickey could be in trouble. The root comes down onto him, and down he goes. Score's going to pick up that kill. But here comes Graves. The lockdown up to Pawn this time around, but isn't enough damage. He turns back onto Sungwon, getting the double kill. And uh-oh, ROX is in a bit of trouble as he is now caught out after using his ultimate. Not going to be able to do anything. Score with the triple kill. Now Linderong on the run. Seems like he came in for a little taste of his own. The teleport is not going to help out his team as 3 kills going on over to the KT Rollsters.
Yeah, 3 kills indeed, and it's all on Score. And if he elects into a glass cannon at least, things are going to get really scary quite soon. And Score picking up all of Sunghwan's jungle right now, probably even going to be able to steal away that red buff. Meanwhile, in mid, Pawn and Smeb going to be able to raise the first turret of the game, and stuff just got blown wide open.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what the ROX Tigers did not need to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they needed to get ahead very early on, as you were saying. That was a fantastic ward placed by KT. I'm not actually sure who got a ward that deep into the jungle to be able to take out the Syndra this early on in the fight.
Yeah, and we can just see the replay, the teleport channel from Smeb, and they didn't know that it was coming because of where Smeb was standing. So when he shows up, he gets the flank onto Mickey, deletes him, and then he and Sungwon underestimated their damage output, and then you can see Pawn getting the Rise shield, and they're just able to constantly clean up the fight. Linderong only able to knock Mata away, and I mean, it was just over at this point, and now it's just KT able to pick what they want.
A bit of a sloppy fight, you know, ults used all over the place, Ashe using her ult at the end of all of that to potentially try to save Linderong, but it just wasn't what they wanted. You could tell also the Graves damage coming down onto someone else. It wasn't Pawn, though, and with the Malzahar ultimate, maybe if he had used his own ult onto Pawn, they could have taken him out, but just damage really spread out across the team, and it was just not enough. So KT looking very together as a team, whereas ROX, not so much just yet.
Not so much just yet. They were holding it together for the first 15, 17 minutes of the game, and nothing was really happening, although they needed to make something happen. A little bit surprising, though, KT didn't pick up the Mountain Drake. They did get that mid tower, and now it's just going to enter back into a defensive phase of the game, most likely.
Nice rotation here by ROX into mid to take out that mid turret, but you do see Deft putting a lot of pressure down onto that bot turret. We'll pick that up. So just trading turrets here. Deft getting a lot of farm. Is up about 25 CS on the Ashe now as well.
Oh, Mata missed the flash.
Oh, and a nice bit of damage going down onto him. Just getting caught out there. Misses the flash. What are you going to do there? So lots of damage coming out from that Syndra to pick up the kill.
Now KT actually responding by getting the Mountain Drake. And Hawkshot's going to spot that out, but it's going to be too late.
Quite nice getting in that early Mountain Drake after it all. I mean, you said it before, with that big team fight they took, they didn't actually go for the Mountain Drake because they had the confidence they could pick it up later instead of going for other objectives.
Yep. And now speaking of objectives, right now would be around the time that you would generally rotate Deft and Mata up to top lane to pick up that tier 1 turret, and you would have Smeb go into bottom. And it looks to be like that might be what they're trying to do, although Deft is in mid. He might just be looking to pick up a little bit more farm and let Smeb get some more up and top before that rotation is initiated. And you can see that Score's already on the left-hand side of the map, and Pawn is in position to pick up any waves that are sent his way in bottom.
Yeah, he's playing it super passive too. There was actually a back ping going on to that Tribush near the tower. It looks like he was very scared. Also an assistance ping. just saying, hey, I'm not sure where they are right now. You might have to help me out here. But looks like the majority of ROX is heading up top as a ward does spot. KT coming in. Smeb is going to engage, but now some back pings coming in. And it looks like KT is, in fact, not going to commit.
Yep. And one of the problems that the Tigers team composition has is they don't have a proper response to this Rise. They can't send anyone to deal with him if he's going to be able to free farm in any of the side lanes later on. They did try to match the rotation up and top, but playing match and catch up to KT is not going to be what they need to do to secure advantages. They're going to let them carry on and ultimately secure Barons.
And you can see it looks like Syndra is going to be the one that does go down and at least pick up the farm there. So he's not going to try to go 1v1 with Rise just yet. Lots of pings still going down. Let's see if maybe a transition comes up into the top lane. 3 members of ROX all heading up top. Ultimate going to go down onto Smeb. He's got to get out of there very fast.
Just don't quite have the damage. He's extremely tanky, but everyone is up here now. And KT, meanwhile, stealing away jungle camps from Sungwon. And they're in position to apply a lot of pressure, and Mickey's not going to be able to stop it.
I mean, it looked like they wanted to go for some kind of dive onto Smeb, but they let him get away. And now a very smart idea from KT. They see everybody in the top lane, and they're immediately going to rotate down bot, sending 2 members, trying to take out that turret of their own.
Yep. And the problem with handshaking on this trade for the ROX Tigers is, yes, it does grant them temporary gold, but in the end, it's going to be more beneficial for KT because this is a turret that is going to be easily pushable by Smeb or Pawn later on into the game to apply pressure at the Baron and take away pressure from the Baron. Whereas now, what the ROX Tigers just did is they granted a lane that can be funneling gold into Pawn or Def.
Very true, and even with the Mountain Drake too, I mean, they put so much pressure towards the bot lane, they can easily try to force a Baron very fast. Ooh, nice pickup by Sungwon. The ultimate to secure the red. Just get out of there with that. Nicely done.
Rise with the Abyssal Scepter. Wouldn't be surprised to actually see him pick up a Quicksilver Sash next, just because of the amount of pick that is on the ROX Tigers team comp. But Deft, meanwhile, picking up a Quicksilver Sash.
It's going to be quite nice. I mean, if you get hit by an Ash Arrow or Malzahar, you just need to get out of there as soon as possible. As Ezreal, it's easier to dodge that kind of thing, but just playing it safe after getting 2 other items here quickly.
Yep. Mickey now picking up some farm in top. He has to be a little bit careful here. He's not aware that Pawn is lurking in the brush.
At the same time, a lot of the ROX Tigers members heading up top. So just hanging around, making sure that Mickey is safe. Almost looks like they want to bait it in some way. Lots of pings going down as they do see score coming on in. Just going to back off.
And so now, when the map is in this kind of a position, with both teams still having their, well, on ROX's side, their top tier 1 turret, and on KT's side, bottom tier 1 turret, neither team is really in a position to capture either one. So it's just going to go into this defensive phase where KT is completely content to keep on scaling up, get their items, get to a stage where they're going to be able to negate Malzahar, negate the Ash Arrow via multiple Quicksilver Sashes, and just the innate tankiness that their team comp offers.
Well, here comes the flash on the Pawn, an immense amount of damage, and he does get taken down. Mata will go down as well, so there is the pick they were looking for. Able to take out 2 of the members of KT very quickly.
Yep. Now they don't have the Ash Arrow or the Malzahar anymore, so Deft is going to be able to do a lot of damage. Malzahar also changed, by the way. The Voidlings no longer grant immunity to neutral objectives.
Look at this. So much poke damage coming out of Deft and score. Landing the Cocoon is going to force them off as well. Linderon, though, needs to be careful. You were talking about that poke from Deft. I mean, he doesn't have blue buff or anything like that, but it's enough to get them away from that Baron, which is very, very nice after losing 2.
Right, exactly. And like I was saying, the Malzahar change, the Voidlings can't quite tank the Baron like they used to, so that his teammates just don't take any damage. And you get to see a little bit of a glimpse of the problem that the ROX Tigers team comp is going to have later on, where if they can't get picks like that and it's a straight-up fight, they don't have a way to get onto Deft. They don't have a way to lock down Pawn.
He's just going to have free reign once it, settles down after those team fights. Big rotation up into the top, and Linderong, he's really tanked, but when you're facing this many members of KT, he's gonna have to get out of there. Slow coming down, and well, it looks like both Deft and Mata not able to join in on that fight, so he will get away, but they do get the top turret.
They do get the top turret indeed, and that's something I wasn't expecting to see them be able to capture. And now Pawn, meanwhile in the bot lane, who do you send to him? You can't send Linderong because Ryze is just going to be able to kite that for days and inflict a massive amount of damage, and you're not in a position to really do the Baron. So unfortunately for them too, Cloud Drake was the next spawn Drake, and that doesn't benefit either team at this stage of the game.
Someone trying to poke on in here is going to use that smite to secure that camp. And yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. They're not exactly trying to go 1v1 with Pawn here. They just wait until he leaves the lane and then clear it and push it out a bit. But again, this leaves Linderong down in bot. He does not have his TP up right now. And they're going to use this opportunity to two-man the Cloud Drake. It's not the best Drake, but you are building up for the Elder.
It's an opportunistic Drake indeed. You look at the map and there's nothing really for KT to do. They just need to be content, play defensive, have defensive wards, secure vision, and wait for ROX to just eventually panic and come into them, because the onus is on ROX again to do something.
What is ROX going to do here? That's really the question. You can see still most of their members up near the Baron. Bunch of assistance pings coming down as they look to link up their ultimates once again for some more picks. And again, they can't really get onto depth here with the QSS, the Quicksilver Sash. She's pretty much just free farming in mid, very content to just back off. You see ROX now beginning to push on in and slowly take out a bunch of wards to take away the vision.
And now Smeb down in bottom, he might begin to split push, and something that would be interesting to see is actually the new ZZ-Rot portal, because while the range is significantly reduced, it does deal immense amounts of damage, and so that might be an item that we end up seeing later on as the game draws on.
That could be an opportunity. Here is Score, and the Malzahar ult, he just gets totally caught out there. Not even sure if they needed the Ash Hour, but they're going to use it to secure the kill, and now they're going to make their move onto Baron.
Yeah, and KT doesn't really have a way to stop this time. Deft not really in the best of positions. Mana might cast his ult here. Oh, but Deft does arrive and does dissuade them from attempting it, which is interesting, given that they didn't have their jungler. Look at that damage.
I guess that's the reason, huh? He's just one kill and he just gets chunked down there. And even without his ultimate at the time, Deft, he is able to dissuade them just all by himself. Of course, other members of KT were going to follow up, but again, Score still has to be careful about being picked off there at times, because it could lead to other members of his team getting picked off as well. You can't really be giving ROX free kills. They're giving them opportunities to potentially go for that Baron or take other objectives.
Yeah. And now Pawn just continuing to farm up in top lane. And interestingly, Score with another Chain Vest. I'm wondering if he's just going to immediately go into Guardian Angel, because the Guardian Angel would inadvertently deny ROX's ability to just simply pick him off easily without KT then being able to get into position and reinforce.
Gives you a bit more tankiness in the QSS. It really just, it makes ROX not want to focus him down as a target of all those ultimates. And we do see just more posturing here in the mid lane. Gonna push that up as the vision is denied towards the top of these brushes here. Someone's just gonna push on in, gain control there with another control ward.
And basically all that's happening right now is a giant vision war. But we've seen ROX now get two humongous picks, but not be able to really do anything with them. And so as the game draws on, we might end up seeing them have to wait for an Elder Drake or something to make KT come into a position where they're guaranteed to get a fight and get picks.
Poppy's down in the bot lane all by herself. Linderong just pushing in that turret. Smeb's been in the base for a while, kind of just chilling. Not sure what the problem is there. Maybe just waiting for the teleport.
Yeah, they used the Hawk Shot to know that KT is not starting the Baron. You can take a look at KT's vision right now, and this is one of the problems that I said is, yes, they had wards a little bit into ROX Tigers blue side jungle, but none of which would be a real sweet spot for Smeb to teleport in from and get a flank on this ROX Tigers team.
The Vision War continues. Another Ezreal Ult comes on out to try to spot this team. You can see Depth just fearless in the face of Malzahar, just walking right on up to him, getting rid of those Void Lanes and saying, okay, go ahead, do it. You can't do anything to me, whereas I can do a ton of damage to you. Vaughn up here does spot the enemy team, but is not going to go in by himself.
It's a giant vision wall right over this location of the map, because this little choke point, that is where ROX is strongest.
A cleanse forced there by Mickey. That was a little bit scary as he does get caught out by the cocoon towards where they are having that vision war. And now, because he did have to use that cleanse, they may want to try to force a fight here, or at least force them away from the mid lane and try to eke out another objective as that second tier mid turret can take some damage. Now Score going to be pushed away, and the ult is tried to use there onto Score, but it totally whiffs as he does get up and out of there.
Hitting Fawn with that ultimate still isn't the best because Rise just able to ulti back into the fight if he does get knocked away by Linderong's Poppy. And now it looks like we're going to have a little bit of fight over the mid lane, and the ROX Tigers team comp doesn't have a very good way to resist against the poke, and KT successfully won themselves all the vision around ROX blue side jungle.
Yeah, and you can see that another Ezreal to use to deny the base there, and here comes Deft on in, and they're going to do so much damage with that Mountain Drake too. Can ROX respond in time? It's about to go down, and it looks like Elise is going to secure that. And here they go on to Linderong. The Malzahar onto Smeb. He is so tanky, and he does just barely go down as ROX is able to take that first kill in the fight. They do give up Baron though. That is not very good.
And so what we just got to see is KT was trying to force their way into a choke point, and that's going to be too difficult against the Ashe, against the Malzahar. Whereas if ROX are trying to come into them, you're walking into a Misfortune ultimate. You're walking into Pawn and Deft being able to kite. So right there, a little bit overeager, but now we see them, they're cleaning up the waves. And taking another look at this replay, you can just see that Smeb is extremely tanky, and via the Malzahar ultimate, they were able to finally bring him down, but even still, they lost the Baron, and now we're going to see what KT can do with it.
Well, Teleport trying to come in here as they do get the flash stun on Tamati. He immediately goes down. Now are they going to pursue from here? No, they do take Baron away from another member of KT though. So another nice pick here by ROX Tigers.
Yeah. Lots of amounts of pick going on right now, and without Mata, they're a little bit defensive, and we see Def now moving down to bottom, a giant minion wave for the Tigers. They might actually be able to raise this turret, but oh, Def.
He
Look at that damage.
Crazy amounts of damage here. The stun is going to be used to force him back, but they still have to be careful. They get the turret, but now they are on the run. Trying to see if they can potentially pick off anyone, but the answer is going to be no. The next Drake was another Cloud Drake, so not the best Drake for KT to try to grab after everybody from ROX does go back. In fact, they're not even going to go near that Drake for now. Looks like they just want to push the mid lane as that mid turret was getting pretty low.
Yep. And they might be able to get it in time. I don't believe that Mickey will get there. Songyun almost in position. These are all Baron buffed minions. Def should be able to raise that turret.
It looks like it. And even if he doesn't go for it super fast, he can still poke down the enemy team. As you see, just one Q will chunk Graves for about 1/4 of his health. So have to be careful.
Really like what KT is doing right now with Pawn in the top lane. He still has that Baron buff as well. And one thing I want to see KT actually use is you can have Smeb and Pawn both split push, and you can do 2-0-3s or 3-0-2s, and then use the Rise ultimate to bring Smeb into the fight. The Rise can auto the turret while Smeb basically peels for him if Linderong would try to resist the split push.
For now, they are going to just group up in the top lane, look for some cocoons, look for some more picks. They're not really getting that much damage done onto the turret though, as ROX has some decent wave clear with that Syndra. Going to be forced to rotate though back to mid lane is Syndra, so maybe ROX will have some better pushing power with this next wave.
And Def has that blue buff. Constantly just able to spam spells here.
And Soma just eating so much damage, but Score, he gets picked off here. The MF ult in the back is going to dissuade them from carrying on further, but there we go, the exhaust after the GA, and he does finally get picked off, and that should be able to stop KT's push.
Yeah, it does stop it indeed, and immediately you see the ping in bot lane. Now, who is the ROX Tigers going to give all of that minion gold to? That will be the question, and ROX is holding on even after KT was able to secure the Baron. And I mean, the gold advantage between both teams is just not there. So with the team fight, you can see Def trying to ult to dish out damage, but Score got pinned against the wall by Linderong's Poppy. And then again, it's just all the CC from the ROX Tigers team composition. So a little bit too forceful by KT, not really utilizing their team composition as well as they could, and ROX continues to punish.
Really got to hand it to Linderong too. His Poppy play has really been on points. Just a huge catalyst for a lot of the picks that they've gotten. Mata early on in the red side jungle, that time able to secure Score into the Malzalt, into the Ash Arrow, of course. And oh boy, Def's still very scary. He takes an immense amount of damage. Even heal gonna have to be used here, as they don't not want to risk Sangyun getting picked off at this point in the game.
And now Mickey running with his team, and meanwhile Deft in mid with Pawn, and the ROX Tigers have been zoned out. We've seen this happen to them a few times this game.
Look at this, even gonna ult on in with some minions, trying to get as much damage as quickly as possible onto that mist turret, just trying to zone them out. And here comes the blast onto Pawn. The arrow is gonna be blocked by Smeb though, as immediately we do see Malzahar get picked off there. It was an interesting idea, but the block by Smeb on the Ash Arrow did not allow them to get the kill onto Pawn.
Yep, they did get both the summoners of Pawn, but he did go down, but they managed to save their inhibitor turret, and so that's the big point right now.
Right here, another big minion wave was pushed up towards top. It looks like that was the doing of Linderong a little bit earlier on. Pawn is going to be sent up to clear that off. Is not much else happening in the middle of the map. Just everybody going to try to head on back.
Baron coming up in 1 minute. Sungwon actually able to steal away the blue, and this is really big. Taking that away, also clearing out a ward. Elder Drake will be the next dragon of the game, and we can expect fireworks to fly when both of these neutral objectives come up in just a few moments.
That's really nice. We do see that Smeb secured his own Guardian Angel too. I don't believe that Elise would have hers up just yet. It's going to be close by the time that next team fight does come down. See the difference in Baron Gold actually going over to ROX Tigers by 400. You can see just how little KT was able to do with that Baron buff.
Yep. And you can see Deft now with the Lord Dominic's Regard, and Mata is going to complete the Mortal Reminder on MF. And the teleport coming in.
Yeah, that is that Poppy, but look at the damage coming out onto Sungwon. Unbelievable. Now Pawn is going to get picked off, though. Really nice job, and the ultimate coming out to Score. Deft able to pick up Graves in the bag. And it's still a very close fight as Score gets even lower. He's just barely going to go down. Deft is really the MVP of this fight, though, as he takes out another. Still trying to go on to Key now, picks up a triple kill, and Linderong now on the run as Deft's just slaughtering all of the ROX Tigers team.
Deft just carried that team fight single-handedly, and his maneuvers on Ezreal might have just earned them an inhibitor. Linderong almost back in base, but he's not going to be able to stop this Smeb just running up and tanking the turret. And that was the opening that KT really needed, and they team fought their way out of that situation. And with the inhibitor going down, the next thing on KT's list is going to be the Baron. And next team fight, ROX Tigers, they're missing a lot of their summoners that they're going to need to reposition against that Ezreal.
It was a huge fight. I mean, Deft, he's back from China. He's here to prove something to everybody. Hey, I'm still a fantastic player. And that he is. Force him into Ezreal. He doesn't really care. He's going to do it anyway. And look at all the lanes, too. Top lane is so pushed in. Bot lane is pushed in. You see Poppy is forced to go down there and clear that off. And KT just may be given this Baron at this point.
Yep. There's definitely no chance for the ROX Tigers to get there. And this is going to be another Baron handed over to KT, and things just got blown wide open.
Yeah, just a fantastic fight there. You can see that it was looking okay for ROX in the beginning with the teleport. You know, they come on back, they're able to snipe down. I think it was Mata very early on in that fight, but after that, there was really nobody to focus down Deft, and he was just able to slaughter that entire team. So really going to have to focus on him, I suppose, for the future fights.
Definitely need to lock him down. It is quite difficult to do so with that scimitar now completed for him. And now it looks like Def just continuing to farm up as Smeb is in the bottom lane. We're going to see how they coordinate this split. Now this is also one of the instances where, again, you could make use of that Rise ultimate with Smeb, even though he doesn't have teleport. But instead it looks like they're actually grouping up into top lane. And as long as they play this patiently, we've gotten to see multiple times this game what happens when ROX tries to run into KT. ROX needs to try to create a situation where KT is forced to run into them, because that's where they're going to be strongest, if they can't make a pick.
Well, this turret is going to go down very, very soon with the Baron. There's not really much they can do to hold that off. Struggling to keep the mid lane at bay at the same time with those super minions as KT begins to begin this push on the top inhibitor turret.
Smeb actually chunking Linder on quite a bit right here.
See a couple of members of ROX heading on over. That's going to give a bit of chip damage onto that top turret already. Nice wave clear though, all the time from this Syndra.
And all that KT is doing right now is they're trying to pull all the attention away from the right-hand side of the map. And what that does is it opens up the ability to guarantee that there's no wards around the Elder Dragon when KT uses the Baron Enhanced Recall and Home Guard to get there quicker before the ROX Tigers, and then they get to a position where ROX has to funnel into the river.
Oh man, look at that chunk. So much damage going on to E. Here comes Smeb, and even if he doesn't get anyone, he's going to zone out the entirety of the ROX Tigers, and they will be able to get that top inhibitor just now. And Smeb, he is going to respawn. He's totally fine to spend his life for that much objective power.
Yeah, and KT maybe looking to end it right here. They have to be really careful.
Nikki, though, look at his health. Just unbelievable chunking coming down. Even Linderong, he spends 2 seconds in front of Deft and half of his health is gone.
Some of the summoners are back up now for ROX, and a lot of the members on KT getting quite low on HP. And all that KT really needs to do right now is back up, recall, secure the Elder Dragon, and then just have one final push.
Yeah, it looks like they're grouping up towards this wave. Maybe they want to catch someone out. Interesting. It looks like they may just go for this bottom turret first, or maybe they just want to push it in. Yeah, they're going to come in here actually and go for the turret. Here comes the teleport as well.
Oh, yeah, they're saying that they don't want the Elder Dragon. They want to end the game now.
Yeah, look at Smeb once again. He's just going to dive on in. He does get ulted, and he may be chunked down. Down he goes, but the turret is already down. And that inhibitor at about half health. Mata is forced to back up, but look at how much damage Deft is doing to Linderon. That's going to be the third inhibitor going down as they begin to push on into those Nexus turrets.
Yep. And now the Baron buff has expired, but it doesn't matter. They got 3 inhibitors, but Linderong.
The slow there from Mata is going to push him back, as unfortunately the rest of the team is not able to group up and get any kills on that KT Rolster team. Maybe if they had gotten 1 or 2 kills, they could try to steal that Elder Drake and go from there. But right now, definitely looking like a dire situation for the ROX Tigers.
Yep. Now, that was one of the things that I was worried about, is if KT actually suffered more losses during that fight, it could have potentially come at the cost of Elder. But regardless, they got the 3 inhibitors, and that's what they were trying to secure, because when 3 inhibitors are down, the game is considered a 7 versus 5, because generally it takes 2 champions to fend off the super minion waves, granted that there's 2 super minions coming from each lane.
And now you can see exactly what you were talking about before. There is 0 vision around the Elder Dragon. Even if they can assume that they're there doing the Elder Dragon, they have no idea exactly if they are. And this should easily go over to KT, as nobody from ROX is even getting near the Elder Dragon. They're just going to have to give this one up.
And now with that true damage burn on Deft, there's nothing that the ROX Tigers are going to be able to do in this upcoming team fight, barring some freak miracle to stay in the game.
Yeah, KT looking super strong. Deft giving everybody the show that they wanted as they begin to put on potentially their final push of the game. Looks like Linderong wants to come from behind. If they can get Deft right at the beginning, perhaps. Here they go, right onto Pawn, in fact. Linderong going to try to knock a couple away, but the rest of his team is not even coming in here. Tons of damage going down onto Key. He will be sniped down by Mata. And now they're trying to fight a 4v5. Here comes Rise, and the rest of his team Linderong is going to be burst down. The Ash Arrow goes wide. Sungwon is going to go down here. Linderong all alone. It's looking fantastic for KT to take this one. Zonya's going to keep Mickey alive for just a second, but that's not going to do much as KT, all 5 of their members up and alive as they take a very nice game number 1 over the ROX Tigers.
Yep, and that was just completely outmuscling the opponent in the end there, and ROX just eventually caved underneath the pressure.